a lot about storytelling and narrative frameworks recently, and I wanted to give you some real life examples of that. So if you haven't seen my video about narrative frameworks, I suggest you go watch that first. I will put the link in the description for you so you can check that out. Because I want to talk about how we can use a narrative framework to structure a nonfiction book to really engage our readers. So first go watch the video that's kind of generally about how to do that, and then come back because I'm going to give you 4 authors and how they do that in their books. I'm Melody Ann. This is Author Nation, and let's get going. So the first book I want to talk about, or the first author I want to talk about, is Malcolm Gladwell. He's written more than one book. He's written The Tipping Point and Outliers. So I want to talk about how he uses kind of the case study hook and a pattern of discovery to frame his narratives. So I'm going to go through each book, setting up context, escalating, and resolving. So how does he set up context? He opens his books with some fascinating case studies, real world examples that feel like standalone stories. For example, in Outliers, he starts with the Canadian hockey birth date advantage. I love this story. So hockey players born in January are more likely to make the NHL than hockey players born in December. And that's because the system is set up in Canada in such a way that all the kids in 1 year are together. And if you think about a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old or even a 9 and 10-year-old, people born in January are like a year older than people born in December. And so, of course, they're going to do better. So he starts with that, and we start questioning what we know about achievement and success. It makes us curious. Wait, what if it's not just about talent? Then what else is happening? Escalating. As the book unfolds, Gladwell doesn't just explain the idea, he builds a case. He layers on more and more examples. He talks about the Beatles, he talks about Bill Gates, and other outliers who benefited from hidden advantages. Each chapter adds a new puzzle piece, making the argument stronger while keeping the reader engaged. Resolution. By the end, he ties everything together into a larger framework. Success just isn't about individual effort. It's about timing, access, and systemic advantages. Readers walk away with a totally new perspective on achievement and success. Let's sum that up. Start with a surprising real-world case study to grab our attention. Use a pattern of discovery. Each chapter feels like solving part of the mystery, and then delivering a mindset shift, making us, the readers, see the world differently. Okay, number 2, I want to talk about Brené Brown. Yes, I know I talk about her often. She's very good at using storytelling. So I like to use her as an example. And she uses personal vulnerability plus relatable research. So how does she set up the context? She doesn't start with research. She starts with a deeply personal story that shows her own struggles. In Daring Greatly, she shares how she once broke down in front of an audience while speaking about vulnerability. She was really embarrassed about that. But here's the thing. Later on, she realized that that's exactly what she needed to embrace. There are emotional stakes here, not just hers, but ours, because we see that. Those of us who dare to get up on stage have probably felt like running off stage at some point, or crying, or something like that. So that really works. We're involved. It's like, yeah, I relate to that. And then how does she escalate? She escalates with challenges, right? So she brings in her research on shame, vulnerability, and courage, but it's never academic. She never makes anything feel academic. She always relates it back to her personal stories, to conversations she's had, or reader experiences. And she asks big questions. Why do we fear vulnerability? What if vulnerability were actually our greatest, what if vulnerability is actually our greatest strength? Each chapter builds on this emotional journey, reinforcing the idea that vulnerability is not a weakness. It's a strength. It's bravery. Resolution. She doesn't just leave readers with the theory, she gives them tools. She offers practical exercise for embracing vulnerability, and whether in work or relationships or in personal growth. So by the end, we, the readers, feel empowered, not just informed. So let's take a look at this. What are our takeaways? Use personal vulnerability to build connection. In our case, it might not be vulnerability, but use a personal story to build connection. Introduce research and insights through storytelling, not just data, and end with actionable steps. Help us, the readers, apply what we have learned. All right, let's look at Yuval Noah Harari. He uses the big question approach. Now, he wrote Sapiens. How does he set up context? He doesn't just tell us about history, he frames it like a mystery to be solved. In Sapiens, he asks, why did Homo sapiens become the dominant species? It's a massive question that sparks curiosity. And the stakes, it's us. Where are the stakes? Our identity, our origin, and maybe even our future. So how does he escalate? He then walks us through history, challenging everything we think we know. Why did agriculture make life harder? Are corporations just modern religions? Each chapter builds on the last, forming a logical but engaging journey. What about his resolution? Instead of giving a simple answer, he actually leaves us with bigger questions. What's next for humankind? Where do we go from here? This kind of unfinished conclusion makes the book stay with us because we walk away thinking about it. And many of us will go on to speak to other people about it, talking about the book. So what are the takeaways here? Frame your book as a journey of discovery, use questions and suspense to drive engagement, and leave room for reflection. Let readers walk away thinking. Finally, let's look at James Clear. He uses a problem solution framework. He wrote Atomic Habits. Now, how does he set up context? He starts by hooking readers with this universal struggle. Why can't we build good habits? And then he gives us his personal story. He was an athlete. His athletic career was derailed through injury, and he was forced to rebuild his identity, one habit at a time. Then how does he escalate? He doesn't just dump information. He introduces habits as a system that he builds over time. Each chapter layers onto the next chapter. Why small habits? How identity shapes behavior? How environment influences choices? And then resolution. By the end, readers have a complete actionable system for creating habits that stick. And clearly closes the loop, returning to his own journey to show how these principles work for him, thereby giving us hope that they can work for us as well. So let's break this down. Start with a problem that readers relate to, break complex solutions into small actionable steps, and end with a full transformation, showing the reader what is possible. All right, now what do you do? So when you're creating your own narrative framework, start with stakes, a hook that will pull your readers in. Keep the journey engaging. Build suspense, use insights, discoveries, build a mystery, and then transformation. Deliver a transformation. Make the reader walk away changed, because great nonfiction isn't just about facts. It's about crafting a journey. So how will you structure your book? And if you'd like some help structuring your book, take our author roadmap course and plan a book that keeps readers buying your book and turning those pages. Until then, have a great day.